Everyone makes mistakes. It is a normal part of the creating process and an opportunity for creators to learn from them and then improve and deliver something even better. Well, that is, of course, in theory, because in practice, there are also some creators who refuse to acknowledge errors, preferring to instead blame their stakeholders, such as their fans, their backers, or their influencers. And you are going to see that these are not necessarily the least successful ones, as I may tend to think. Hi guys, welcome to the channel. I'm the Eradicator, and in this video we will have a look at unfortunate times when game companies actually put the blame on their own fans and supporters. It's going to be a fun one and a little testimony showing that even some of the biggest names in the industry do not shy away at doing one of the biggest no-nos in business, forgetting that the customer is always right. So here we go. Alright guys, we're going to start our top 5 with number 5 here, which is the co-director of Days Gone, John Garvin. I think that this is how we pronounce it. And John Garvin here, he went really in a bizarre way because, well, he developed Days Gone, which is a game set in a post-apocalyptic it's hard to say. Post-apocalyptic. I can't say it, damn it. Post-apocalyptic word. Yes, I did nail it here. Anyway, and so in this world where there are some zombies, it's another of those zombies game. Unfortunately, not very original, right? Talking about, there was a pandemic, it made people sick. Not really the type of game that players like me, for example, are interested in. I want to feel some escapism. I don't want to be brought back into a reality that's even worse than our current reality. So that's one of the reasons that personally I was not interested in Days Gone. Zombies again, pandemic again, no thank you, I will pass. And you gotta be a little bit more original, I think, and that's why people did not buy that game so much. And well, it seems that Mr. Garvin is putting the blame on us, and he's saying that the reason why there is no sequel of Days Gone is because people did not buy the game at full price and they were waiting for a sale or a discount, and so their studio did not make enough money to make a sequel. I think that this is just a terrible take, in my opinion. If you want to have enough sales to make a sequel, just choose a good original topic that people are going to be excited about. Do not take a theme, zombies that has been done and done again and again and again. Do not talk about pandemic. When we are having a pandemic, I think that, in my opinion, they should have maybe rewritten the script and turn it around to make it a little bit more original after the current health situation took place. So yeah, not a good take here, and blaming it on the fan on top of that, that's the icing on the cake. Number 4, Riot Games. Now this one is a little bit different here. Riot Games in 2018 hosted an event that was only for women and non-binary people. No, I am not really into that kind of things, so I am not really sure about what this means. So I had to make some research. Apparently, a non-binary person is someone who does not identify as a man or a woman. Let me know in the comment section down below, because I until I made some research here about what exactly that meant, I was not even sure. I still don't really understand about what this means, but this is very weird, and apparently it got the community manager who was defending this position to be fired because people were not happy about this. They would say, "Oh, why is this restricted to only people? What to a certain genre, right? I mean, if there was an event only for men, there would be a terrible backlash." That's basically what people said. And that community manager here called the men who complained man babies. And they also said that they were privileged as F on various tweets with using the official account of Riot, if I'm correct. Anyway, following that, this has drawn a huge amount of heat on Riot Games, and this person here, this Mr. Klein, eventually got fired. But it really put some bad press and bad rap on Riot, which again is the studio behind League of Legends, because you just don't put the blame on your fans, and especially you don't insult your fans on social media, because every time you do that, it does not go so well. Number 3. That is absolutely crazy. We were at number 4. Number 3 is actually EA. Actually, EA is going to get a number 3 and a number 2 at the same time here, because there's a lot of things here to talk about EA. So the first one is from back in 2013. If you remember, there was this Worst Company in America award that Electronic Arts won 2 times, and that is I don't think that any other company won the plastic poop trophy. And eventually, well, first the developers not developers but the PR at Electronic Arts decided to play it fun, and they say, well, thank you for telling us, it's an opportunity to eventually do better. But then they decided to go to go the full SJWA, and they did say that, the reason why people voted us as the worst company in America is because we allowed players to have LGBT characters in some of our games, and the conservative people of America voted against us to punish us. And a lot of people then answered with comments like, I don't like EA because they are pro-LGBT. In fact, I am a supporter of LGBT rights, says a joystick commenter called Pallet Driver. He says, they say, because I don't know if it's he or she, they say that they dislike EA because they have a long-standing history of anti-consumer practices. Not liking EA does not make anti-LGBT, it makes me anti-EA. And they had a lot of comments like this. And it very terribly backfired on them. It's the very easy way when you have some trouble, a little bit of backlash. You put the you put the blame on one category of people. In this case, they were trying to put the blame on the conservatives, but a lot of people got even madder with excellent argumentation, showing them just how wrong they are. It's not the only offense when it comes to SJW. We're still at number 3 here. There is also the Battlefield 5 creator. I don't know if you guys remember Battlefield 5. Some people call it Genderfield as well. Basically, Battlefield 5 was not very historically accurate, if you see what I mean. I gotta say that, it was a bold artistic move to reinforce and fantasize on the role of women during World War II. But the reality is that during World War II, women were not necessarily fighters, but more support operatives, like medics or photographers or journalists. These are some of the roles that women took in World War II, and these were also extremely important roles, but not necessarily on the battlefield, not necessarily in landing barges on the first row. That's not really how it happened. And unfortunately, it seems that Electronic Arts, especially the people at DICE, told the fans to not buy the game if they were not happy with this. And this is exactly what happened, because apparently, according to one of the latest counts, only up to 7 million copies of Battlefield 5 have been sold, which, according to EA itself, is a disappointing number. So probably this bad rep here, this bad streak, and these poor sales could be attributed to even the devs telling people, well, you know what, don't buy our games. And that's exactly what the fans did. Never tell people to not buy their product, because, well, they are going to not buy your product if you do so. Number 2, that is again EA, and this one is from 2020. And well, here people are. This was a tweet done by the official account of Electronic Arts themselves on April 22, 2020. Why can't you all be more like Ice-T? And And people, here's someone who's responding, why can't you fix your servers? And this was, of course, here another bad thing. This is not the first time that Electronic Arts is having server problems. Very often, when Electronic Arts is releasing a game, they do not measure the impact that their games is going to have at launch. They do not measure the success, the potential success that the game is going to have. We all remember, for example, SimCity 2013, and the game crashed. The games crash, and people can't play their game that they bought because, of course, those games are in DRM. These games must be online, or you must be online all the time to play the games, and it gets very infuriating when you buy, especially those games at Electronic Arts. They can cost a certain amount of money. They're usually expensive, $50, $60, $70, even on PC, even in markets that do not have a lot, that do not have high incomes. They always market the same price everywhere, all around the world. And if it's not working on day one because the servers are oversaturated, well, you can bet that people are going to be very upset that they spend their hard-earned money for nothing. And just telling people to be more chill is not the way to go. Instead, you want to say, hey, we're really sorry for the difficulties you're having. We're trying our best to fix the servers. You don't tell people to chill out. So there we go. Number 2 goes to Electronic Arts as well. And number 1, well, that is also a tie. I'm going to go first for Cloud Imperium Games because this one is absolutely crazy. Cloud Imperium Games, the studio behind the biggest crowdfunded game in history, Star Citizen. And recently, that was actually last week on February 2nd, the developers at Star Citizen decided to no longer show long-term goals on their roadmaps, choosing to only focus on the next coming patch, which I think makes sense because they had a lot of time. They've had a lot of time developing their game. And problems happen. It's really hard for them to stick to those deadlines because they encounter a technical issue that eventually bottlenecks their whole content, and so it gets added back into their backlog, and they just can't release their product, their features until that specific technical part gets fixed. And so, instead of explaining to us that it's just not possible for them anymore to have that roadmap that shows us what they're going to be releasing a year from now, they decided to blame it on roadmap watchers who create unnecessary noise, and it is distracting the developers. These are literally their words on the post that they have published on February 2nd of this year. Absolutely outrageous. You can, of course, imagine that a lot of people have reacted very negatively on their official forums for an entire week. Every single thread for 1 week on their official forums were negative, talking about that debacle. I am myself a Star Citizen backer. This is mostly what I talk about on my main channel, link in the description down below. And I too have decided to close my wallet until noticeable progress or a better communication and more respect to the fan is given. And that's just terrible. Just don't say that it's because of the fans that you don't that you give us less transparency in case of development. Another terrible take here. But number one is the most extraordinary take, I think, from this is not a developer, it's actually a publisher, Ubisoft, or I should say Ubisoft, telling us that we're basically stupid. And I really hate to say that because these are my fellow compatriots here at Ubisoft. It's a Breton company. I am Breton too. Ta-da! But in this case, I am sorry. I will be putting them here really at the top of the list. And we're talking, of course, about NFTs. This is actually from a good article. The first time I read a good article on Kotaku, anything can happen, right? Even Kotaku can write a good article, which say Ubisoft executive says users don't get it in extraordinary NFT interview. You guys know that Ubisoft has tried to launch an NFT platform called Quartz, and the backlash has been absolutely disastrous. They were trying to say, that they were giving players the opportunity to resell their items. Yeah, of course, is that every time people were reselling their items, they would get a cut. Every time the items were sold again and again and again, Ubisoft and whoever would be also in the stake here would get a cut of that sale. This would basically be unlimited money for basically nothing. And who wouldn't want that? The problem is that, gamers, players can see through the narrative that they are trying to push, and we understand that in the end, it's going to make a worse experience for us because everything, absolutely everything, is going to be all about money and less about, the quality of the game itself. We get it. But no, they say that instead we don't get it. No, what we don't get is that you want to make more money out of something that is not your field. Your field is to make games. Your field is not to make money. Ubisoft, EA, Blizzard, you are not banks. You are companies that make video games, and this is what we want from you. That's what you guys don't get. Anyway, guys, that's all for this video. I wanted to make a little list here of companies that just blame the fan. It's just baffling when a company does that. Just such a poor take, and just a lack of vision and without the fans, without the players, these companies would not even exist. And I can't believe that sometimes they just forget about it. Anyway, that's all for this video. Thank you so much for watching. A big shout out to Eric On, Dr. Forbin, and the DJ Dunn for their contribution on Patreon. Let me know, do you have any other examples of companies or let's say maybe at least gaming companies putting the blame on their fans or players for their own shortcomings? Well, let me know in the comment section down below with further examples. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day. It's the Eradicator. I'll see you guys later. A huge shout out to everyone who's been helping me out on Patreon and via the YouTube Join membership program. Creating content on YouTube involves continuous circles of ups and downs, and it is when we are the lower parts of the curve that your help really motivates me to keep on going. Your contribution really does make a difference, which is why in return I try to give back by offering backers access to my private Discord channel, automatic access to exclusive giveaways, or answering your questions during the show. You can help me out with as little as $1 a month, and any help is greatly appreciated. Thank you very much for watching again. This is the Eradicator. I'll see you guys later.